We are having a calm debate, and I think that is right for this sensitive issue. But I am feeling frustrated, as I was last week, that I've asked the First Minister repeatedly for an answer that she refuses to give. Under law, a rapist has to be a man. Her Justice Secretary thinks this rapist is a woman, and I'd just like, in my final opportunity to the First Minister, to get a clear answer. Is Adam Graham, this double rapist, a man or a woman? Now, let's remember, in court, this man lied. He was telling people he didn't rape 2 women. But under Nicola Sturgeon's policy, he's believed when he claims to be a woman. So he can keep on demanding access to women's spaces. He can keep forcing victims to call him she. He can keep terrifying and traumatising women. I know there's murmurings from the SNP benches, so I would ask them and the First Minister to listen to the words of one of Adam Graham's victims. This survivor was raped by him and said this on Sunday: "I don't believe a word. I don't believe he's truly transgender. I feel as if he's made a mockery out of them using it. As far as I'm concerned, that was to make things easier for himself. I'm sure he's faking it." And this brave woman summed up the feeling of the majority of people in Scotland when she said this: "You've got genuine cases where people are desperate to get reassignment for the right reasons because they've been born into that body, not because they've raped 2 people and decided that that's an easy way out." First Minister, why are you giving rapists an easy way out?
First Minister.
I do think that does a disservice to victims of crime. Can I say a number of things, because they are all extremely important. The quote that Douglas Ross narrated there, my feeling is that is almost certainly the case, which is why the key factor in this case is not the individual's claim to be a woman. The key and in fact, only important factor in this case is that the individual has been convicted of rape. Yeah. The individual is a rapist, and that is the factor that should be the deciding one in decisions about how that prisoner is now treated. And indeed, that is what is happening in terms of where the prisoner is. Secondly, Douglas Ross has on more than one occasion today used the terminology of forcing access to women's-only spaces. These are important considerations, but that language ignores the exemptions under the current equality law, a law that even if this Parliament wanted to, couldn't change. Exemptions that enable trans women to be excluded from single-sex spaces where the tests in that legislation are met, and to be excluded regardless of whether or not they have a gender recognition certificate. The other thing that Douglas Ross's questions ignore is the fact that for any sex offenders on release of prison, there are monitoring arrangements, the MAPA, the well-established MAPA arrangements, to ensure that any continuing risk posed by individuals, regardless of gender, are properly managed. So it is really important that we look seriously at all of these issues, but that in doing so, we bear in mind 2 things. Firstly, as I've said, that we do not further stigmatise trans people generally, and I think that is important. But secondly, that we don't cause undue concern amongst the public. If there are issues to be addressed, we address them, but we do that in a way that is not just calm, but doesn't misrepresent the situation, because that is in nobody's interest. And I think if all of us come at these debates in that spirit, then we can work our way through all of these issues, respecting the rights of those whose rights deserve to be respected, but also protecting the public, and women in particular, from men who want to and do commit violent acts against them.